Hi guys, welcome back to Sewing Back. This is the kid version. This is an episode for kids who are wanting to learn how to garden. When I left off last time, we had went shopping at the Dollar Tree and we had gotten some containers so we could do a container garden that you can put in your space to grow some of your own food. And I'm not going to plant all of it up. I don't have enough light right now. But we're going to go ahead because I told you last time, one of the things we picked up were some green beans. And it is green bean planting season where I live. And there's something that when you are gardening that you have to learn about, and it's called your growing zone. And so in America, we have different growing zones. And if you can look, it's kind of small. But if you look on here, you can see the United States. And you can see all these different colors. And those colors are growing zones. And based on what that growing zone is based on when it's appropriate to sow seeds. Sow, S-O-W, not sow like we're going to sew clothes, that's S-E-W. So we're sowing seeds, S-O-W, I-N-G, because we're doing it, sowing. So we have that ing sound on the end. So that's how you know how to spell it. And it is the proper top northern, Midwest to the east, northeast. They should probably wait a couple more weeks and then they can start planting their beans in May. But pretty much everyone else in the United States can go ahead and start planting beans. Now, I personally, because my grandmother taught me when sowing beans, we always soaked our beans in water. So I have a cup here of water and my beans have been soaking all afternoon because it'll help get them ready to germinate. So what you have to understand about a seed is a seed has everything it needs to germinate, okay? And it has the food in it, it has everything. It really just needs to be put in a damp spot. So if you want to see how a seed germinates, if you take a clean jar that you can see, like an old spaghetti jar or something like that, that you wash out and clean, and you can see it, you can take a bean seed and you can take a wet paper towel and you can kind of put that paper towel loosely in that jar and put your bean in there, maybe one or two. And if you want, and put it in a sunny spot like in a window and you leave it alone, it will sprout and you will see the process of that bean coming forth. You can't see that when it's in the soil because it's covered up with soil, but it's the same process. So this bean has everything it needs. It just needed a little bit of moisture and it needs a nice warm place to lay and some sunlight, and it's going to germinate. But once it germinates, it doesn't have any more food. It's kind of like if you ever get chickens, if you get chicks, when they're born, when they hatch out of the egg, they have enough reserves for food and water naturally in their bodies for about 48 hours. To 72 hours. So that's how a lot of the chicken hatcheries can ship chicks to your local farm store for your people to buy if they want to have their own chickens, because they can move them through the mail system in that time period without having food or water. That's why when you get chicks, one of the first things you are to do is you need to dip their beaks in water so that they can drink water, and you offer them feed. And typically they figure that out real quick. Once one of them sees them do it, the rest of them follow suit. And so it's one of the amazing things that God puts in animals and people and plants and how our world is made. And you'll see these things over and over the more you learn about things. So we have our beans that I have put in water, and I have my little stackable containers. I have some soil over here on my table. I also picked, because I think I'll have more spaces than seeds, So I also brought out some of the radish seeds, which these you don't need to put in water. They're pretty small, and you don't need to put the flowers. And so I brought out the 2 packs of flowers. So we're going to see what kind of holes we have, and then we will start planting our seeds. But we're going to plant the bean seeds first. The other things in our other containers I'm going to do in another video. I just know I want to have enough time, and I don't want the videos to be too long, because if they're too long, you're going to get bored, because, you know, we all have attention spans that are like poof, and then they're gone. It's for real, you know? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our first one. Actually, I'm going to take this one. If you remember, we used that power tool. If you remember what it was called, it was a drill. And we put our holes, so we have drainage holes in here. And I actually have some of my own work gloves. And I'm going to start putting some soil into this. And I'm going to kind of speed you up so that this goes by a little bit quicker. And then I'll talk to you about how far to put your seeds in once I get the soil in it. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I did 2 containers. I read on the little sticker thing that came with these, it really doesn't want you to stack them more than 3 high. I've seen other YouTubers who use these and they've stacked them pretty high. So you can try if you want, but what I thought I would do, since I have 4 of them, I'm just going to stack them 2 high. And I think that'll be okay. If space is more limited for you, then maybe you want to stack them higher. But just be careful, because if you stack them too high, then maybe they'll tip over or something. I wouldn't want that to happen, okay? So, if you can see here, this is a little pocket. And so we're going to plant inside this pocket. I'm going to take the top one off first while we plant. So we're going to plant this one up first. And let me get out the bean seeds. Let me get something to pour them in so you guys can see them. Hold on one second. Okay, so if you see this was just like an old, I think I had gotten blackberries or something like that in that. I use these all the time when I'm starting seeds. Let me show you one I did. This is one where I was given some seeds. These are actually going to be flowers. Can you see the little green sticking up? These were special flowers that I had to actually put in the refrigerator first with the seeds like this. And then I've had to let them warm up, and they started to sprout. And so when you see these kinds of things, there's all kinds of little things you can do with just things like this that otherwise we would recycle or just throw in the trash. Well, I'd rather use it as much as I possibly can until I have to recycle it. So I'm going to use it to pour the beans out so you can see them, what they look like. And I'm going to go ahead and pour into here, because it's not going to hurt the soil to go ahead and get it a little wet. So in this pack of, and this little Dollar Tree pack of beans, these are heirloom Bush Lake beans. So let's see how many we got. You can see that. So I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I got 18 seeds. And do you see how big? Let me see. Can you see how big that seed is? Can you see that? It's like my fingernail size almost. Like if I put my fingernail, if I can get it and not roll off. See, it's almost the size of like a fingernail. So that's about how deep we want to plant this seed. If you remember last time I told you, the little teeny tiny seeds, we don't even barely cover them up, because they're so small, they can't really shoot up out of the soil. They need to be kind of on top of the soil, which I'll show you when we get to one of those. But this is a bean seed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingernail, since we said it's kind of like a fingernail, and you can either do this with your bare hands. If you don't like how that stuff feels, then you can use your garden gloves. But there's a lot of stuff that has come out and said that people who actually play in the dirt, that it's good for you. It's actually healthy for you. Does a lot of good things for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 beans in each of these circles. Okay, so we're going to put it, and we're going to take my finger, like we said, a fingernail, right? And we're going to take that bean just like that, and we're going to put it down in there. And then we're going to take our other finger, we're going to come towards the other side, and we're going to put another bean. Just like so. And now look, I'm going to come overhead. Can you see? You see where they're at? You see where they're at? And then all we're going to do when we finish is we'll cover them. But we're going to go ahead and finish planting, so we don't double plant that. We know that we're using that one. So we're going to turn it. Going to use my finger. You could use your garden shovel if you wanted to. You just don't need to go too deep. That garden shovel really comes in handy when you're actually harvesting stuff. So see, I'm going to stick it in there, and then I'm going to do another one. We're going to put that bean like that, and then we're going to turn it because we've got 2 more to do. Do 2 little holes there. All right, so now let me bring you overhead, and so you can see how to cover them up. Okay guys, can you see we have 2, 4, 6 bean plants. Now we're not planting anything in the center because remember, our little thing is going to sit here, and that's also where water comes down. So we don't really want to do that. Okay, so we're not going to be planting anything right here. So we're going to take what we have here, and we're just going to real gently, we're going to cover it up like so. We're just going to cover them up just like that. Now, what did I say they need? They needed something else. Now, I have a different water bottle that I have water in right now, so I'm going to use my water bottle. I will show you maybe on the next video how to use the one from the Dollar Tree. But you don't want to pour a ton of water on this. We don't want to drown it, right? We just want to kind of put a little bit, get it a little bit wet. So if you have a squirt bottle, that would be really helpful for this part of it. You don't have to. You just don't want to put too much. And I pump it up. And then we're going to put it over here. And that's getting water on it. And we're getting just a little bit of water on top. And the beans were already soaked. So they're going to be ready to come out and say hello. Now, bean seeds, I should say, they usually don't take too long to germinate. Usually within a week, you should see them popping through the soil. And so we're going to do another one. We're going to go ahead and plant up and get the rest of these planted up. So I'm going to speed this part up, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay guys, so that is how you plant up green beans. And what I ended up doing, we counted, remember we counted by 2s. We had 18 beans. We put 2 beans in each hole. We had 3, 6, 9 holes. That's counting by 3s, okay? Because each one of these towers have 3 holes or we could say 3 pots to plant 2 beans each in it, okay? So that's just some kind of little basic math there for those of you who like the numbers. And and so in that one 25-cent pack of beans, we were able to plant this whole planter up with green beans. That's going to be fantastic. I'm running out of light, so that's all we're going to plant for this video. I will try to make another video tomorrow, and we will start working on our other pots and our other plants, because we have cucumbers, we have carrots and radishes, and of course our flowers, and I hadn't forgot about the hummingbird thing. So I'm going to try to get those done and get those out to you guys so that you don't miss those hummingbirds as they are making their way to a neighborhood near you. But all you want to do with your beans is, if it doesn't rain, like they don't get any rainwater or anything like that on there, then each day you want to come out either in the morning or in the evening, and you want to give it a little squirt of water. You can use your water and pour it, but when you pour it, don't pour it right here where we planted the beans. Pour it more in the middle, and so we don't drown our beans until they get established. Once they get established and the roots start growing, then it'll be okay. We won't have to worry so much about that. I also wanted to show, this is the soil I used. This is a raised bed and container mix, organic mix. My husband got that, I think he said at Home Depot. That's what I had already here at the house, so that's what I used. You want to get something that is for a container or a raised bed, not an in-ground garden. They put different nutrients that a plant needs for a container, and it also is supposed to help it from drying out so much, because these will dry out quicker than if it was in the ground. In the ground we have something called the water table, where those roots can go way deep. Well, roots inside containers can only go as far as that planter is going to let it go, okay? And this green beans, they won't need to go any deeper than this, and that's why we planted them in this. If we had something that had really deep roots, like a tomato plant, probably wouldn't plant that in there. Those roots go way deep, so you would need a deeper type pot. And so anyway, that is how you plant green beans. You can plant black beans if you like black beans, pinto beans. There's all different kinds of beans that you can grow if you're not a green bean person. I love green beans. I always have, and I think that they're really fun to grow, because you're almost always going to be successful growing green beans. So it's a pretty easy one to start with and to learn with. And so anyway, I hope that you are having a great day. I hope that you're getting excited, because I know school will be done soon and summer vacations will begin. And so just remember, don't check out yet. Listen to your teachers. Be kind to your teachers. They're tired too, and they look forward to summer too. Don't ask me how I know. But finish out strong. Finish out on your best footing, and don't be discouraged. You know, even if you have something that's difficult that you're having a hard time with, you know, everybody has a hard time with something. Some kids, it's hard for them. They have a harder time learning like numbers and putting all that together, and they get really frustrated. And some kids, they have a really hard time reading, and they just don't understand the code, and how do I break this code so that I can do that. And they get really upset, and they feel bad about themselves, and they shouldn't. You shouldn't feel bad about yourself. Anyone can learn how to read. Anyone can learn how to do math. Anyone can learn how to write. It just takes time. And you have your whole life, and everyone doesn't do everything at the same time, and that is okay. So just know that. Know sometimes some people see things differently. You know, we all have different gifts and talents, and that's a good thing. It helps make us a very creative people, and it helps us problem solve. So don't feel bad if you're struggling with something. Keep at it. Keep asking good questions. Keep trying. And don't feel bad if you're having a hard time. It's hard stuff. So anyway, with that, I appreciate you stopping by for episode 3 in Gardening with Kids. And I will see you soon. Bye.